Hello and welcome to my dead simple JavaScript tutorial and serving it as a website on Github. So I made this empty repository called JS Test. You can always make a repository by going to homepage, repositories, and then clicking new. I am going to clone my repo to my local computer, and I have SSH keys set up. I'll do a tutorial on that one day. I have a folder called Git. This isn't anything special. It's just a folder on my computer. You can see down here in the File Explorer, it is just a folder. This is where I clone all of my Git repos. So I'm going to clone JS test. As you can see, it is empty. I'm going to start adding some stuff. First of all, I'm going to add an index.html. And I have this very nice sort of auto fill thing. Now, it is looking for a file, CSS, style sheet, CSS. We're not going to do any CSS, so let's get rid of it. And I will put in the main body a title, and I'll just say, hey. I'll open up, and here we have it. And I think if I change this to say, hey, my friend, and then I save it, oh, it's a bit bigger. I save it, and then refresh, it actually lives updates. So that's pretty cool. What we're going to want on the user side, what can they see? We need a count. So this is going to be my counter. It's going to start at 0. I'm making a small, just a very simple demo website where you click a button and it counts up how many times you've clicked. And then we're going to be serving that on the internet. I'm just going to give this an ID of count. That means later on we can grab it and we can modify what's in here. And we need a button. And on click, it's going to run a function. We haven't made this function yet, but we'll call it count increment. And let's make the inner text click me. So this won't do anything yet, but it has added a button and things. What I want to do next is make a JavaScript file. So we're not actually going to put anything in the script here. We're just going to say look for it in js/index.js, which does not exist yet. So we're going to make that. We're going to make a directory JS. We're going to go inside the directory, and then we're going to make index.js. Instead of this, we're going to have that function, which was called count increment. Doesn't take any parameters. And we want to use the document and get element by ID. And the element is called count. So this line of code here is going to grab this bit here. And we'll call this the counter. Then we've got it. We want to pass the value inside of it. So we want to see what's in here and then add one to it. So current value is going to be the counter.inner HTML. Inner HTML. And we want to turn it to a number. And JavaScript had this nice function that will just grab the number. Then we want to set the counters inner HTML. So I've just read the inner HTML here to get the number. And then we want to set it to the current value plus 1. And go back. I don't know why I keep exiting. That's not very useful. If I refresh it, it now counts. I will just change one thing. I will go back to the JavaScript and I'll do console.log. You have clicked, and then current value +1. In fact, I'll just put it up here. That's fine. I just want to show the... Why do I keep exiting? It's really not useful. I just want to show that if I go to here and go to the console log, it then shows me how many times I've clicked down here as well. Now, there is a bit of inflexibility in this approach. Because it's reading, there's no external value for the counter. So it means the only thing, in the HTML has to be a number for this line of here to work. If we wanted to add extra text, like you have clicked this many times, we can't do that because it won't be able to pass it as a number. So what we can do is make another variable called count, set equal to 0. Then we're gonna add this. So it's initially going to be 0. Every time you click the button, it calls this function, which adds 1 to the count. And we don't need this +1 here. And we're just going to set the inner HTML to that count, and we can actually do some more stuff now. So now we can say, you have clicked. And we're just going to do plus, which appends strings, so you have clicked this many times. Hopefully that makes sense. And because I've saved it, can I refresh? You have clicked this many times. I forgot spaces, and also the initial value doesn't have the same text. So I want this to say you've clicked 0 times. So it will initially say you've clicked 0 times. Then when you click it, it runs this count in increment function, which is this here. I think that all works. So I'll save it, I'll refresh, you click 0 times. Oh, yes. So there is no current value now. We can just put count. Perfect. Now that we've done this, what I want to do is add these to GitHub and then serve. So the repo currently looks like this. Usually you'd have CSS as well. And I'm going to do git add. Now usually in this little case I'd do -a, but you can add individual files like this. If you make edits to those files, you can do git add -u and it'll only change the edits. To prove my point, I'm going to change the README. Now I can go git add -u, and it will just look for changes. And because I changed the README, that's going to be added. Then I'm going to commit those changes. This is so I know what I've done, and this is like a code in it. I just initialize the code, nothing really fancy. I could put a longer description in here, but there's no need. And then I push it. Now if I go back to GitHub and refresh, it did change my README, and I have all my code there. Now we're going to deploy it. So if I go onto settings in the repo, pages, I can go deploy from a branch, and I can choose main, save. Now, it will take a minute. We don't have a custom domain. And it's currently building it. Eventually, it'll come up at the top here. We can just count what we do. And we're back. It is now live, so we can go to this website, and this is live on the internet. You can send anyone this link, and they'll be able to click a button as well. Now, notice when it refreshes, it clears the state. The way you get around this, if you want some kind of persistence, is you'll have a server, and rather than... Let's go into the JavaScript. Rather than having variables here and stuff like this, instead it would send a request to the server and say, hey, what was the last count? Can I get the last count and add to it? This isn't talking to any server. This is all happening in the browser. But that's what full stack is. You have the front end, which usually make it look a bit better than this, and the back end, which uses JavaScript, talks to the server. The server can be written in whatever that uses APIs and stuff. I hope this was helpful.